2 weeks out from Gen Con, the news is starting to heat up on this week's Roll for Crit Board Game News Roundup for July 16th, 2018.
We've gotten our first look at actual product for the Hasbro Wizards of the Coast card game for the Transformers series. This game will actually use large cards for the characters, which will be double-sided, one for the robot mode, the other for their beast vehicle mode, in addition to a deck of action cards. In regular stores, we'll actually get sort of a starter set that will just contain Autobots, sort of the favorites, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, as well as booster packs. But if you're at Gen Con or San Diego Comic-Con, there'll actually be a special con exclusive, which will contain the Autobot Cliff Jumper and the Decepticon Slipstream. So you can expect to see those two and possibly pick them up. If you can't make either, you can pick it up on the Hasbro store, which is what they're doing a lot with their convention exclusives if you can't make them, which is sort of nice. Definitely something I'm going to try to check out. A little bit curious to see how this works, especially since it seems that the packs will come with one big card with a bunch of small cards. It reminds me more of like a Dice Master kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. It's I believe it's one character card and then 8 smaller, whatever goes in your deck cards. Yeah, which is an interesting way of distributing it. It seems like they're kind of trying to, like Dice Masters, make it stand out from the typical kind of booster packs that you see. I also thought it was kind of interesting, kind of weird that they're launching with the Autobot starter set, but there's no Decepticons.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are disappointed about that.
Doesn't it seem like why are we fighting Autobots against Autobots? Shouldn't it's a no-brainer? You have 2 groups. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am curious to see if there is some kind of, because I don't think Dice Master has it that you can use anyone you want, but there are bonuses, for example, if you had X-Men, that could work.
Right.
You support. I wonder if that will be the same, or if you have to use only Autobots and Decepticons. In particular, because sometimes factions get a little weird depending on your continuity.
Right.
And then if you do one side, would that mean Maximals be their own team, or would they be considered part of the Autobots?
There's a lot of interesting places they could go to, and I think they had said that they do want to explore the weirder, like every aspect of the Transformers lore.
I mean, 1, that's more content, that's easier for them.
Yeah.
And 2, that does help fans a lot more, because if you're a big fan of maybe someone who's really weird, maybe someone who maybe only appeared in the Japanese stuff, it would be nice to throw them in. What I would be really curious to see is combiners. Because those are 5 robots that make one big one. Will you have one separate card aside, like, all right, I'm flipping these all over for Devastator, or will there be a unique special one?
You have one really big card. Yeah. Just like a full-size card goes on the table.
But definitely see if you can pick up the con exclusives, if you're into that, at Gen Con.
Azul has been the darling board game of award giver-outers and players alike for the last year, and they are now releasing a brand new standalone version of the game called Azul Stained Glass of Sintra. This one works in a similar way, but the theme now is that you are all trying to build stained glass windows instead of just a regular old palace type of deal, similar to games people have noted like Sagrada, which was another big stained glass window game from the last year or two. This one works, again, similarly to the original Azul, but it looks like some of the scoring will be a little different. You have translucent tiles this time that you're going to be taking and drafting in a similar way with the other fellow players and placing them on your boards, which this time around will be double-sided, so you can flip them over and play games again to have different combinations and different patterns going on. And it is going to be released this year at Essen 2018, but it is something that a lot of people have looked at, and the first thing that they thought was Sagrada, because I think both Sagrada and Azul already kind of felt like they were similar and felt like part of the same sort of family of games. And now to see this one just kind of take that one's theme, it almost feels a little underhanded in some ways. Like we're going to take the thing that made them special almost. I don't know. But does this something, does the stained glass theme appeal to you? Because I know we thought it was cool in Sagrada.
I do like the pattern building and stuff, but I don't feel underhanded as much as lazy. Because I don't think it's like, oh man, we're going to take that theme, because it wasn't like Sagrada became like, it wasn't Gloomhaven kind of popularity where everyone's talking about it. I mean, it was considered very good, but it wasn't dominating the awards list. Mm-hmm. I think they're literally, because Azul initially was about the building of tiles in like Portugal. I think it was Portugal.
Yeah, it was something like that.
So I think they're like, well, what else has pattern building? I guess stained glass windows and wherever it is. I think that's literally, they weren't even like blinders on, and that's
also interesting that it's a standalone and not an expansion. That the game has only been out for like a year, and they're already selling you a brand new other game.
Yeah, now is Azul going to be like a family branch of like?
It's like code names now. We're going to get Marvel Azul and whatnot.
And then if they run out of things that people build patterns for, it's like Azul road building.
Yeah, but I want to stay tuned to find out exactly how different it is, because right now it sounds like maybe not super different, but we'll see. As I said, it'll be released this year at Essen.
While many fans have been up in arms about Fallout 76, Fantasy Flight has decided to release a new expansion for their Fallout board game, Fallout New California. This game will actually add new components to add to the scenarios already in the base game, or 2 new scenarios that take place in, spoilers, California. This also adds some new characters you can play as well as some other cool new components. What's interesting about this is, if you know a lot about the Fallout series, California really is where everything started. That's really the start, the territory of 1 and 2. So this is really going back to its roots, which is surprising because the Fallout board game was really 4. It was all about that and taking place in the Bethesda universe. So you would have expected if they made an expansion, they would have maybe done 3, maybe New Vegas and stuff. But California is really going back and doesn't even have I don't know picture-wise, the graphics and stuff of some of the stuff that is California exclusive.
Huh. Well, maybe you'll recognize some places from where you lived.
I don't know how recognizable California is there, but I mean, that's really cool. I'm hoping, just as I'm hoping 76 would be good, I am hoping that maybe Bethesda, in what talk Fantasy Flight, maybe Fantasy Flight can maybe edge them there too, is to take 1 and 2 and use some stuff with it. Don't just let it sit on the shelf.
No, that would be really cool. One thing that I have read that people have said is that they really don't like the end game, not having much familiarity myself with the original game of Fallout, the board game itself, and they're disappointed that this, it sounds like, doesn't do anything to alter that end game.
It seemed, from what I can tell, is more of that middle and beginning area.
Yeah, so,
fits Fallout 4, because I know for me is the end game that really annoys the hell out of me.
They want to keep it really true to the game. You gotta respect that. We've got another new competitive card game announced from Plaid Hat Games called Guardians. In this game, each player chooses a team of 3 superheroes. In this universe, there are a bunch of essentially superheroes who retired and now have to come back again to save the world from new threats that have arisen. It's never a good idea for superheroes to retire, is what I've learned from these stories. And essentially, it's kind of like an area control / combat game where different cards on the board will represent different points, and you want to put your heroes in there to attack the other player, get them out, and move your tokens further up the track so that you have control and get enough points to win the game. And it sounds like they're planning for this to be similar to Ashes, or Summoner Wars, like not a CCG, kind of not really an LCG, but an expandable. New packs will come out with new heroes because you can customize and choose before the game starts who you want to put in your deck.
It seems you choose 3 heroes and they have their own set of cards. I don't know how customizable their decks are. I don't know if you choose Cobra Man, if he always comes with the same 10 cards or something.
It sounds like that is how it works. You're choosing a faction.
A little bit easier.
Yeah.
In the sense of Ashes, you buy decks of I forget, a Phoenixborn, I think they're called, something like that. But when you have the deck, you can edit as much as you want as long as I think you stay in sort of a color. So really that makes it more like Magic in that sense.
Yeah.
When this reminds me from the sound of more like Smash Up, where there really isn't any pre-game prep.
Right. No, yeah. I think
which is a little bit nicer sometimes, especially for us when we barely have time to learn rules for games.
Yeah, just give me the deck. I'm ready to play.
It does seem, because when I read the description, it was like the heroes stepped aside for in the first global government, but then danger came back, so you assemble a new group of heroes to fight another group of heroes.
Yeah, I don't know. The lore is murky. I'm sure we'll learn more as we get closer to release. The other thing is the art style of this game. A lot of people have been comparing it to Overwatch. That they think that they're trying to either as an homage, or maybe if you're more cynical, a ripoff of that style, those characters, that game. Did you? I don't know if that's something you thought about when you looked at it at all.
Not really. If anything, what I thought about was all their other games. I was like, huh, this looks like a colorful version, a happier, I guess, color, when I say colorful version, of Spectre.
A Spectre Ops.
I just think people are saying Overwatch because it's hero, but it's not spandex and capes. So if it's more techie side, it's in colorful. It's gonna be Overwatch because they technically use the term heroes too. I mean, Trace's famous line when we first saw it was like, "The world needs more heroes."
They can't use heroes. That's trademarked by Blizzard.
But so I guess you could say that, but to me, because it's not a team base, in the sense like we're working together, it's like I make 3 heroes, but really it's me. So I didn't get the Overwatch vibe. I'm not pushing a cart. I'm not dealing with you trying to grief me. So
judge for yourself. Check it out. Look online. See what you think about the artwork and the game. Plaid Hat usually does pretty good with these competitive card games. It's Guardians. It'll be released later.
The party deduction game Spyfall is getting another expansion, standalone, just like most of its others, added to its lineup. This one is called Spyfall Time Travel. It sort of takes that one card, Jonathan's favorite, the Crusade, and really makes the entire set about that. You'll be going to different time periods and areas like caveman caves or maybe the Renaissance and stuff. So you'll have to be focusing a bit more on that. I know, like I said, a joke to your favorite because you always hated that card.
Yeah, well, in the original Spyfall, that was the only card that was a different time period. So it was always very difficult if you're the spy to, like, you would immediately, I thought, get found out because you're like, oh, I'm wearing sneakers. And everyone's like, well, clearly you're not in medieval times. But so it sounds like this could solve that problem, especially because you could mix it in with the original.
That's the thing, though. I think it's
make it harder.
Still bad because I think in the other one, let's say ignoring that one, same time period, sneakers are very hard to not say. I mean, maybe it's because we just have those really dumb questions. But in this, even then, like, what are you wearing? Well, if it's the Renaissance, I'm wearing this. If it's the Wild Wild West, I'm wearing... Like, the time period clothes are really different. It could be really much easier to ferret out. Though it could be also easier for the spy to find out then. So I think it's more of a higher shot if you don't hit.
I think because it's all focused on the when, that it might change the nature of those questions a lot. So hopefully that does kind of resolve that issue. I don't know, but it's interesting. I personally... I liked Spyfall a lot, but it also is highly stressful to play, and I've kind of I'm pretty happy with the base. I haven't really felt the need to like get a Spyfall 2 or DC Spyfall. You know, I'm pretty happy with what it is, but at least this is a different twist on it. It's kind of cool that they're trying something different with it. IDW has announced a few more licensed games to fill out their licensed games lineup that is already pretty full. First, there's Sonic the Hedgehog Dice Rush, which is a dice rolling racing game where you're trying to match cards to different parts of levels from the Sonic the Hedgehog zones from the actual games themselves. And then they also have announced 2 more in their lineup of Dragon Ball Z games. One of them is a dexterity game. The other is called Over 9000, and it's a bluffing game where you're trying to hit 9000 power level. The Dragon Ball Z games are part of their ongoing initiative that goes through 2021 right now. They're going to continue to be pumping these DBZ games out, including some miniatures board games, which sounds like we may be getting more elaborate DBZ games in the future. But, you know, for people who love DBZ and Sonic, you're getting those games from Dragon Ball Z. I am curious to find out if anyone ever makes a Sonic game in the future that isn't a racing game. That seems like the only thing they can think of.
I'm excited for the Sonic game that's based entirely on your own OC.
Oh, the Orange County?
No, you're Jonathan the Hedgehog.
Yeah, well, I think they need to come out with the Jonathan the Hedgehog expansion.
But I can sort of see, it's sort of interesting. I think Cryptozoic is the first to really do it. I wonder if this is going to be a pattern with some of these properties that have, I mean, Rick and Morty wasn't that big, but like DBZ is huge, where it's like, all right, this board game is this arc or this episode.
Yeah.
Like, instead of like something that tries to encompass everything, you really focus on what happened there.
Yeah.
For better, for worse.
Yeah, it's they realized, why put everything into one game? We can split it up into 50 and make more money that way.
I mean, that could work too, maybe in doing different styles of games. I don't know about DBZ. I have not watched them all. That's not me judging DBZ because I don't like it. But
you heard him, he doesn't like it.
Though I am a fan of Garlic Jr.
Also, all 3 of these games are tins. So enjoy.
Well, I mean, you know what? As long as all the DBZ games keep the same, you know, at least if they kept it all the same style, then it's like, all right, at least you're making it uniform. But and the Sonic game, I mean, Sonic is just in a really interesting place in general with games, no matter board or video. So, especially each game is a whole thing. Like you can get a werehog. Like what is a werehog? I think it's called.
You can shoot guns.
Oh god, if you do a shadow one,
you can do all kinds of things. I'm waiting for that shadow shoot gun game.
Oh man, that'd be a great dexterity game. Maybe they'll team up with Flick 'em Up. But enough about games that will be coming out in the future. What about things that just came out so you can get them right now? First, we've got the Z-Man Choose Your Own Adventure House of Danger, based, of course, on those old Choose Your Own Adventure books. In addition, we got Junk Orbit from Renegade Games, as well as Rainbow Nights, the game we actually talked about a while back, about nights and you try to quickly place these cloud patterns without crashing, sort of a Tron-esque, but prettier in clouds. And of course, a Mystic Vale Twilight Garden expansion, and of course, the DC deck building game New Gods expansion, one of those small packs, which is interesting. It's sort of like they're getting to those guys who you were like, I don't know how they'd modernize them in like DC like movie universe. It's like, all right, I guess we're going there.
They got to get everything in there eventually. I mean, there's all those new gods and old gods. Yeah, I'm curious to try the Choose Your Own Adventure game to see if that's any good, because you know, we do like those storytelling kinds of, we like games inspired by the Choose Your Own Adventure series, but the original Choose Your Own Adventures are so kind of basic, so I'm not sure how this one's going to play for me. But some good releases. More Mystic Vale sounds cool too. I don't know.
So that's our news roundup for July 16th. Before we go, one more small news thing. Our store will be closing very soon. Everything is 50% off. Go there while things are still available. Check it out. A lot of great stuff for great price.
He's right. That's rollforcrit.com. There's a couple weeks left. We still got some great stuff hanging on. Everything must go. So go. Go get it. Otherwise, leave a comment if you have anything interesting to say about our news. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was our Roll for Crit News Roundup.
Hey, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe and like this video for more excellent board game content.
Heck yeah!